G'day guys, Luke here from Tech Blokes and welcome to my unbiased review of the iPhone 12. I've been using this device basically about a week after it came out, and I just wanted to share my thoughts around owning this device and whether or not I think it's an upgrade from the iPhone 10 and the iPhone 11. So I've got a whole heap of notes here. We're going to go through those and I'm going to share with you whether or not it's worth your money to upgrade. So let's kick it off. Basically, the first thing I wanted to talk about is the screen. So you can see it is beautiful. It really is crispy. There's no denying the fact that OLED is the better technology over LCD. Don't get me wrong, I really do enjoy the screen on the iPhone XR. I think it is really quite nice. I think they did a really good job of it. But the pixel density, the brightness, the sharpness, it's beautiful. Honestly, like if you're looking for a phone with a beautiful screen, the iPhone 12 really does stand out. You know, I went into the store to have a look at it because I wasn't sure whether or not I wanted to upgrade. And as soon as I seen the screen, I was like, yeah, it's a real standout. It does go really nice and bright, but most of the time I don't really have to have it that bright. It's great in direct sunlight. You know, reading books in bed, the actual screen will go quite dim, and not that you'll probably ever use it like that day to day, but when you're reading a book or something, having it so it's a little bit dimmer is quite nice as well. Now, one thing I really appreciate is the actual size of the phone. I did like the iPhone 10 and the iPhone 11, but after owning this now for almost a month, I wasn't 100% sure whether or not I liked the squared sides, but I do. I actually think it is better, and the reason I think it's better is it's much easier to reach across the whole device. You know, being able to type a message where you can reach right across, being able to reach right to the top of the screen. I don't have like giant hands, but I personally just like that I can just reach right across the whole device. So I am glad that Apple shrunk the dimensions a little bit. I think that was a smart move. And yeah, I do actually prefer the squared sides. What I will say is, if you're thinking about getting a case, pick up the leather cases. I've got the yellow poppy one here, and it is a real standout. I haven't owned a genuine Apple case before, but I picked up one of these genuine leather ones. They're expensive, but man, they're good. They offer some really good protection, and this time around Apple has closed in the end of it, whereas this used to be exposed. So whether or not they're using some new technology or a new case maker, I feel like they offer really good protection, and it just feels really nice. It feels like really high quality leather. So just a shout out there to Apple. I'll leave a link below to the yellow poppy case if you want to get one. Now let's talk about the speakers. They are really loud. They're very crisp. The audio that comes out of them is really good. The bass is, you know, it's good. It's not amazing. Let's play a quick song here. At full volume, they're not like going to rock your socks or anything, but I think, in my opinion, they are a highlight. I think Apple has done a very good job of speakers for a very long time. Are they a huge leap forward over the iPhone 10? Not really, but they are definitely a tiny bit crisper. One thing I really like about Apple devices is their speakers don't rattle the phone. They're just very solid, and they offer, obviously, the stereo setup where you've got the speaker at the top and then one at the bottom there. So yeah, speakers are really good. Now, Face ID, obviously we've had that for a long time. It's super fast. Once you start using an iPhone with Face ID, it's very hard to go back to a device that doesn't have it. Yes, we are living in COVID-19, and having to wear a mask and take that on and off to use like Pay ID and stuff can be a bit annoying, but you just get used to it. Ideally, I'd love to see an unlock by, you know, just resting your thumbprint on the power button. I think that would be a really big win, but at the moment, all we have is Face ID. Now let's talk about battery life. So battery life has been quite solid. If you've ever used the iPhone XR, that was a battery life champ, and I feel like the iPhone 12 is better. So I'll quickly explain to you how I use my device. I don't play any games. Basically, I really use my phone for taking phone calls, sending messages, looking at emails, web browsing, watching videos on like Disney Plus and YouTube and stuff like that. Shout out to all the Mandalorian fans out there. And, you know, gaming and really intensive tasks just aren't done on my phone. I use that for, you know, my MacBook or on a gaming PC, etc. But battery life is solid. I can easily make it through a day and a half, sometimes 2 days. You know, I've got the fast charger, so when I wake up in the morning, if I've got meetings all day, I'll plug it in for half an hour and it'll top me up to like 70 or 80%, and that'll easily get me through a full day. Screen on time, look, in all honesty, I can't really comment. I think it's probably about 3 to 4 hours, and then you're gonna have 50% battery life left. But again, I've never been able to drain this in a full day. It's just really solid. I was a bit worried because, you know, it's a lot thinner than, say, like the XR or any other older iPhone. It's not going to beat out the iPhone 11 Pro. That is definitely probably the best iPhone for battery life right now. But it is good. You know, absolutely no complaints. I can go a full day taking videos and photos and reading books and watching content, listening to music. It's solid. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the camera. So Apple made a big hoorah about the camera, and I'm happy to say it is really good. The video especially is on point. It's so good. I actually don't think anyone does video in a phone better than Apple. You know, Samsung, Google, they're still playing catch up. Although they can do like 8K and stuff like that, the video on iPhone is just so crispy. And then even when you like export it to like your MacBook, it just looks incredible. The detail, the smoothness. So here I am, I'm riding my push bike behind my son the other day, and it is literally like I've got a gimbal and I'm just holding this on my bike, and like, you know, this is a bumpy footpath. It's just so smooth. It's buttery smooth. Apple had just done an incredible job with the stabilization, and again, I feel like Google and Samsung are playing catch up in that regard. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the speed of the device. So it's got the new processor in it from Apple, which is the A14 Bionic. Man, this thing is so fast. I thought the iPhone 10 was fast. You know, it opens apps quickly. I've never had to worry about apps opening in the background or refreshing or any of that type of stuff. But man, this thing is super fast. And I'll tell you where I noticed the most speed, and that is actually loading pages. If I'm using 4G or even my Wi-Fi at home, it is noticeably quicker than any other phone I've ever used. It is stupid fast how quick this thing will load web pages and how many apps it'll keep open in the background. After going from the iPhone 10 to the 12, which I thought was a really fast device, and it still is, this thing is just blisteringly fast. Apple deserve praise because I don't even know how they did it. It's just super quick. Okay, now one other thing I want to talk about is the vibration motor. So I was using a Pixel 3 XL for a long time, for about 12 months. I thought I wanted to go back to an iPhone. I picked up the iPhone XR. Awesome device. Picked it up secondhand. Vibration motor is on point. I feel like it's just a tiny bit better on the iPhone 12. You know, getting a text message, getting a phone call, I can almost tell just by the way it vibrates on the desk what the notification is. They're so sharp and so crisp. It's just on point. Nothing really can beat Apple when it comes to the vibration motors. They really know what they're doing. And I think, again, like after you go back to a different device like a Pixel or a Samsung, they're always playing catch up. You really do appreciate just the little things like, you know, when you go into the camera and you take a photo, you just get this little buzz. There's all these nice little haptics, like even when you open a photo and you zoom all the way in, you get a little bump. When you pay for something, like you get this nice little vibration. It's just so cool. It makes the experience really deep and rich, in my opinion. Now there are a few things that aren't amazing. I mean, there's only a few minor things that I don't like about the 12. The first one is, although the camera is really good every now and again it just completely misses focus, especially in dimly lit situations. It's much better than the 10, it's much better than the 11. Okay, so I took a picture here. This is a little budgie that we've just been given, and I was just sitting behind my son. I took a portrait photo, trying to get a nice kind of bokeh background to separate the budgie. And although it's not a bad photo, you can see it's just a bit of a blurry mess. And this happens every, you know, I don't know, once a week, where I'll take a picture and I'll just look at it and go, that's not a great picture. I do think the Pixel does a much better job with its algorithm, its learning algorithm when it comes to taking portrait shots. And I think Apple would benefit from being able to allow us to show both the original shot and the portrait shot after we've taken the photo, like Google does. I mean, it's not all the time. 98% of the time it's a great photo, but just every so often I take one and I'm like, well, that's a crappy shot, and I'll just delete it and take it again. Now, in my opinion, the widgets, although they're handy, they're still not on point. And again, this is more of just an iOS thing. They're good, but they can't display the same level of detail and interaction that you get with Android. I feel like Apple will continue to work on these. Third-party apps will continue to get better. But right now, the offering is quite small, and they're just not as deeply integrated into iOS like they are with Android. And that's obviously because Android has been doing it for quite a long time. Now, I would have really loved to have seen a 90 Hz refresh rate on the iPhone 12. I feel like, you know, Apple could have done that easily. They use Samsung to make most of their displays. They could have just, whatever. You know, I think there were plans for the Pro models to get the higher refresh rates, but, you know, possibly because of COVID-19 or the pandemic, they just couldn't get that done. But it's still a beautiful panel, and I have no regrets using this panel day to day. Alright guys, there's one huge standout feature for me for the iPhone 12, and that is the use of the new Qualcomm modem that Apple has put in this phone. Wow, this thing is super fast. So I've always got pretty good download speeds on any other phone that I've used, but the new modem in this thing is just so fast. Let me just show you here. So this, normally at home I get about 90 meg download speed. The tower is just across the road from my house. I can see it. But look at this. This is using the iPhone 12. You can see it is almost double. It's crazy. I don't know how they did it, but I get better service. Voice calls are better. It is just better all around. So let me just share a couple of results from speed tests. You can see that one there is probably the best download speed, 197 megs per second. This is not on 5G, by the way. I can't get 5G in my area. This is only on 4G plus. I'm based in Australia. I'm in regional Victoria, and without a doubt, the LTE speeds, the download speeds in general, are so quick. So to give you an idea, so this one here, 122 megs of download speed. That was in town, in my local area, where typically I would average about 40 to 50. And to be able to get 122 in an area that was generally not amazing for download speed, in my opinion, is a huge win. So here in Australia, most people probably won't go out and buy this thing outright. They'll probably go on a plan. And I did a bit of research before this video, and the average cost for the 64 gig model on a 3-year contract, you're looking at about $79 to roughly $90, depending on which carrier you pick. If you get the 128 gig model, which is what I've got here, you're going to probably pay a little bit more. It kind of fluctuates. It's generally about, again, $79 to $90, depending on how much data you want per month as well. Is it worth that? Look, I would say if you've got a 10, like the iPhone 10 or the 10R, yes, it is worth the upgrade. I don't think if you've got the 11, it's worth it. The cameras are very similar in the 11 to the 12. I was comparing some pictures on my friend's iPhone 11 the other day. Very, very similar. The wide angle lens is very similar. The whole phone in general is quite similar. Here's what I will say. If you need better reception, if you're in an area that doesn't have great reception with your current device, I think the iPhone 12 is a clear winner. If you really like having an OLED panel, which I do, because I do a lot of reading on Kindle with that dark screen mode, I think it's just better. It gives you better battery life by using dark mode. Or most of the Google apps use dark mode. Instagram uses dark mode. It's just a better experience having that OLED panel. And yeah, I think it is worth the money for the upgrade. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a thumbs up below. Drop a comment if you got any questions about picking this phone up here in Australia. I'd be happy to answer them. And looking forward to seeing you in the next video. Cheers.